If you want to find out what this is and to see what else I find on this adventure, make sure to continue watching. This adventure keeps getting better and better. I'm here at what is now a decommissioned reservoir, and in front of me is a 1924 structure. What at first glance appears to be a valve or pump house. Well, upon opening the door and entering inside, I was left nearly speechless. You're not going to want to miss what's inside of here. It's a chilly but beautiful sunny September morning here in Pennsylvania, and it seems like the perfect day to go searching for some ruins remains of an old coal mining town. This town was built specifically for coal miners and their families, and included everything such as churches, schools, wagon sheds, and a massive coal breaker. Not much of it's left today, except some ruins and a reservoir that was decommissioned last year. In order for me to reach my destination, I need to follow some trails, cross some creeks, and follow the water source up to the reservoir. And my mode of transportation today is a bike I'm reviewing for the very first time, known as the Haoqui Eagle, an adventure-ready e-bike, and I think this might be the perfect bike for this adventure. We're going to talk more about this later on in the video, but right now, if you want to see what I find today, all you need to do is come along with me. Once we do arrive at our location, I'll tell you a bit more about this town, including the name and the years that it existed. I had to cover some pretty steep and rocky terrain. Now this is a combination of coal silt and rocks. Very wet conditions though, taking it nice and slow. Coming up to an intersection here, and oh, what is this? I think we have an overturned car. This is obviously not part of our location today, but it's a bonus find. Have an overturned, burned, abandoned vehicle here. It's a more modern car. It's a four-door. Trying to see. Might be Buick, might be Volkswagen. See if we get a closer look at it. Not surprised to see it burned. I'm more surprised to see it overturned, wondering how they accomplished that. Someone's glove is here. Still got the oil filter on it. Looks like they cut off the catalytic converter. What is this? This is... yeah, I believe it's a Buick. The tires are like in half, but looks like they're burned. Four-door sedan, modern Buick. If you guys happen to know the exact model, chime in down below. Another thing worth mentioning is that obvious signs that we're heading towards an old coal town and coal mining site, because what we're riding on now is all coal and silt material, including some leftover chunks of coal. Anthracite. So I guess if we follow the coal road, it'll take us right to the coal town. Now we come to a clearing here where the road does split, but I think I know which direction I have to go, but I want to see what's going on here because there's actually a fire hydrant out here. I do see some chairs, a little tiny structure. And even some flags. We're out here in what I consider a rather remote spot, but we're definitely not in the middle of nowhere because people have been here and do come here. sign stating respect the landowner, take your trash with you. So that basically says you're welcome to be here, but be respectful. There is a little tiny shed, I guess you want to call it. What is this? I don't know what this is. There actually is a power box with a cord coming out of it right there. Wonder if they actually have power out here. I do hear an ATV. There's flags out here. It's almost like a cul-de-sac in the middle of the woods. Some water flowing over there. I do see some old corrugated pipes and a more main road over there. I believe we're heading in that direction, but we do have fire hydrant, states out of service, but it looks like it actually has a fresh coat of paint on it. And over there we do have some chairs and part of a barrel. But this is a neat section of woods. Really open. And if you look into the woods here, you could see for several hundred feet. It's nice, wide open woods. Looks like they're collecting their trash there. It's actually some more chairs and a barbecue over here. They do some grilling. It's pretty neat. Yeah, the ATV just went by slowly in that direction. Random chairs out here. I will have to say, whoever's been out here for the most part has been respecting the landowner's wishes and following the signs. There's not a whole lot of trash out here. The most I see is this little pile right here which was burned, and there is some discarded trash, but overall this is a really nicely kept area. Kind of pristine. Its own little hidden gem for some people probably, but I do like the cul-de-sac area where the flags are. There's a lone pine tree there, almost like a Christmas tree. But let's head over there really quick and check out those what look to be rusty corrugated pipes. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is the water coming from the reservoir. So I said we have to follow the source. We're going to be going in that direction, following the source, and eventually crossing over it somewhere further up. And by the looks of it, it's nice, clean, clear water. It looks like some debris from flooding. Concrete pipe there, twisted and discarded, crushed corrugated metal, a larger corrugated metal pipe over there, and some steel drums or pipes over here, including right down here, that water is actually coming out of. We're going to have to try to get down there and take a look at that. I'm not sure if this is here intentionally or not, but it is being utilized as a pipe. There's a debris blockage, but water is still going through. That's about a 20-foot long piece of pipe. But with all this build-up material here, you could tell there's been some powerful waters back in the day that altered the landscape here. I don't know if I have a way over, but I'll crop it in for you. You can see the pipe there. Looks like it's maybe half submerged. Water is flowing through it and around it. Does a sweeping curve and continues down. Now I do know where this water goes to. We've been there at least 2 times in the past. I'm not going to give it away right now, but if you guys happen to know where I am and know where this water goes and have watched my videos regularly, then you probably already know what I'm talking about. But this is a really neat area. I knew there was a clearing here, but I didn't know it was like this. Like I said, it's basically a wilderness cul-de-sac. And it's a fairly common area from what I could see that people come here either to ride around, get away from civilization, do some grilling, whatever it is. But I'm glad I found it and was able to share it with you. But we're going to continue up in that direction right there. I am pretty happy with what we're finding so far, so hopefully it only gets better from here. According to Google Maps, the main road we're on is this one here to my right. It does continue in that direction and veers off the opposite way. So we're going to take this side trail here, which should border the creek, and somewhere further up we will be crossing over the creek and going straight up to the reservoir area. Pulled off here for a second. We're going to be continuing on this trail. The creek is over there, and we're going to be going probably for another several hundred feet, and we'll eventually be crossing over the creek, and then from there it's a straight shot to the reservoir. But right now I wanted to take a few moments and talk to you about my mode of transportation, the Haoqui Eagle, what I'm calling an adventure ready e-bike. Now this is my first time working with this company, and I'm going to be brutally honest and only be able to share what I can share because this is my first real world experience with it. So right off the bat, let me tell you some specs. It does have 26-inch by 4-inch wide fat tires, front suspension, front and rear fenders, rear rack, headlight and brake light, and everything you see on this bike does come standard. The fenders and rack do come included. They do not charge extra for that. Housed inside here, which is removable, is a 48 volt, 20 amp hour Samsung LG battery. I'm really happy to hear that more bike companies are coming out using name brand batteries instead of the no name brand knockoff batteries. So Samsung LG battery is going to be relatively safe and get you the most power out of your usage. It does have an estimated range of up to 80 miles. That is of course dependent on the rider's size, terrain, and pedal assist mode. Realistically, you're probably looking at closer to between 50 and 60 miles, which is very respectable. The bike does weigh in at 79 pounds, which is right in the average range of these e-bikes, but does have a payload of up to 400 pounds. So if you're a heavier rider, or if you do want to carry some cargo, you could put saddlebags on here, a milk crate, and you'll be able to carry a pretty hefty load. It does have front and rear hydraulic disc brakes, 7-speed Shimano gear system, manual bell there, 3-button design, mode button, long press to turn on and off, up and down for your pedal assist, and it does have 1 through 5. Now when you do get this from the manufacturer, it does top out I think at 20 miles an hour, but you can unlock it to go up to 28 miles an hour, which I have done. So this will go 28 miles an hour on both throttle and pedal assist pedaling. Battery indicator, your speed, pedal assist, wattage, odometer, which you can cycle through for trip, time, to track your progress. Nice wide handlebars. They are rubber grips, half twist throttle, and the throttle output is based on the pedal assist mode. So pedal assist 1, if you give it full throttle, it's only going to go as fast as pedal assist 1 will allow it to go. To go top speed, you will put it into pedal assist 5, and then if you give it throttle, you're going to go max speed up to 28 miles an hour as long as the bike is unlocked. I do have to say though, so far right at the bat, the bike is handling this terrain very, very well. I'm pleasantly surprised. Now typically I would use my Huffsco Huff Alpha, my big step-through bike, which is similar in size, except it's a step-through design, but that has no fenders. I love that it has the fenders. It's keeping me kind of relatively clean and dry because we've gone through some wet and muddy terrain. And my Huffsco also does not have a brake light, which this one does. So if you're riding around people or with a group, people will be able to see when you are braking, which is nice. Suspension can be adjusted and locked out. Headlight is one of the better headlights. It's got the 4 LEDs in there. And according to what this looks like on here, it looks like it does have the built-in electronic horn, but there is no horn button. But it looks like that combo light I've seen before looks like it should have electronic horn. Just to tell you some quick pros and cons. Number one, that has the LG Samsung battery. That to me is a great addition, and I think more bikes should be using batteries like that. This one does come standard with it. Number two, it does come standard with the rack and fenders. You're not paying extra for that. Number three, the high payload and speed it could go. So it could hold up to 400 pounds, go up to 28 miles an hour, which I think are really good numbers in both categories. The only con I have so far, and really nitpicking. Number one is that pedal assist 1 for me is more power than I would like. I don't know if there's a way you could customize the power output like on the Engways, but pedal assist 1, although it's not fast, it's really torquey and goes a bit faster than I would like to. So I'm either having to feather the throttle or just stop and go as far as coasting. So I would like to be able to have customizable power outputs. Number two, I would like to see an electronic bell on this bike, electronic horn. It does have the manual mechanical bell. It works, it's sufficient, but with that combo, it looks like it should have an electronic horn. So maybe in the future they could incorporate that, but again, I'm just nitpicking. Being this is my first impression so far, I really like this bike. It's performing really well. I think if you're someone who likes to go on adventures like me, you want a bike that could go on multiple different terrains, whether it's a rail trail, city commuting, doing stuff like this, this bike is going to be able to most likely get you there in one piece. I've climbed some steep hills, gone over some rocky terrain, and so far the bike hasn't failed me where other bikes in the past have. Not to say it's perfect, but so far I've yet to come across any major problems or issues with it. If I do happen to notice one of them by the end of the video, I will share them in my final thoughts. But I do want to thank Haoqi for reaching out to me and allowing me to test out the Eagle and what I'm calling the Adventure Ready e-bike. If you want more details or to get the latest pricing, check the link down below. With that being said, let's continue with our adventure. More evidence of the past. These are little waste piles, combination of coal, ash, culm, rock, just little mounds and piles, and some relatively new tree growth here because trees don't typically grow in this material very easily. Now the trail does go off this way. I do hear the water over there. I'm going to venture down here to see if that's where my crossing is. If not, we have to continue further ahead. I do know there is one crossing that's doable, one that's not, based on some people that have been here in the past who've told me. So let's see what's down here. Worst case scenario, we backtrack and continue up the mountain. Oh, okay, so this is what I was afraid of. Thankfully we didn't have to go very far. So there is a crossing here, but it's not a traditional road crossing. It's a combination of culvert pipes forming an artificial crossing here. Now I'm sure ATVs, side-by-sides, dirt bikes get across it. I could push my bike across it, but I was told this is not where I want to cross. But this is indeed the source of water, and it is flowing through these pipes now. I'm not certain why they put the pipes here other than channeling the water. And it's not, like I said, not an official crossing, but you can cross it. Yeah, those ones are plugged up, the first 3.5 of them. Only 2 are primarily functioning as they should. On the backside here, they are all opened up. You can see the third one is partially plugged up with some material, as is the first one here too, but it's still Water's still making its way through. The down tree here. Looks like a core sample, like a plug. It looks like a sample they would get from drilling. Almost looks like limestone. Although nothing important, just figure I'd show you what I'm encountering along the way. Back to the rocky terrain. I am so glad I'm not walking right now, although it'd be great exercise. It would take me forever to get here. It's a further trek than I was thinking it would be. But so far, so good. All right, I think this might be my crossing. Yep, we're gonna have to cross the creek here. So, doesn't look all that deep. It does look about anywhere from 2 to maybe 6 inches. As long as the motor doesn't get submerged, we should be fine. I just need to keep going straight through. It's not smooth, it is rocky and bumpy, but I am confident we're gonna make it across. Now, typically, I would leave the camera somewhere stationary so you guys can get a view of me crossing the creek, but I really don't feel like getting wet and crossing it more than I have to, so we're gonna cross it together, and we'll have the camera angled down on my mount here, and you'll be able to see me going through it. But fingers crossed, we don't get stuck in the middle. I'm pretty confident that's cold water. Here we go. Hang on. All right, that wasn't bad at all. Feet got a tiny bit wet, but we survived. Okay, now I know 100% we're in the right direction, because right down here is a pipe. We've seen these pipes numerous times when I've explored different reservoirs. So if we follow the pipe, follow the trail, follow the water, 100% it's going to lead us to our destination. Now, once we do arrive there, I don't know what I'm looking for, don't know where to go. I do know there's ruins up there, but still, here in the summertime, things are not bare and highly visible. So it might be a rather difficult task to find the ruins and remains, but I'm determined, I'm confident. We have a gorgeous day. I got nothing else to do, so I'm going to scout around. Maybe there'd be more visible than I am anticipating. We're getting closer. We do have an old gate here, which is no longer being utilized as a gate. It's just swung open here, and I don't know the last time this would have been closed or locked. This is probably a boundary line for the town or coal company back in the day. And what we're riding on is an old mining road. That's actually what it's classified on the maps. Oh, we found something. What do we have? We have a structure. Over here, here is a valve. Probably connects into there. There's also a little concrete base there. Another one. A post coming out of the ground right there. Almost looks like a fence post. This looks like a possible valve house or pump house. This little exterior portion almost reminds me of what you'd see on railroads that handle the switches and electronics. It's primarily constructed out of block, stone block, and concrete, maybe even limestone. You can see how big it is compared to me. I can't really fit inside without getting down in it. There is a conduit piece coming out right there. And there's a door over here. It's been pried open. Almost like a little pass-through. And looks like it's been built to last. I think we could get in on the side over here. Oh, look at this guy. Little fuzzy caterpillar there. Entryways here would have had a steel door on these pins, which is like the hinges there. It would have swung closed that way. And we do have some wooden framing on the inside. I do have a flashlight. Let me get that out. So it's wood framing. Looks like there's probably an interior door as well. Steel exterior, wooden interior. And there was walls in here. This was partially finished. There's studs, and I believe that's sheetrock. Making sure there's no snakes in here or nothing. Building 559. Little tiny door right there. I'm surprised it's finished. Makes you wonder what the actual use was. I don't think it was like a motor room. I don't see any valves or pipes in here. Could have been electrical, which would make sense with that part on the outside, which I said looks like it's from the train days for the signals. And here we are looking right back outside as I'm reaching through. I'm kind of dumbfounded on this one. To be as old as it is, but rather modern on the inside with sheetrock. Dirt floor. Don't know. I do see, okay. Looks like electrical conduit right there. Plastic sheathing on it. Doesn't look all that old. Bunch of trees laying against it. There is a pipe right there that's protruding through the wall. And the water is just over there. You can hear it flowing. So I don't think, and I say think loosely, I don't think this was part of the old coal mining town. I think this has more to do with the reservoir. And I think this would have held electrical components. There was a door here too. The pins right there. The door, again, would have been sitting on the pins. And there is a little latch right there where a pin or a lock could go. So, regardless of what it actually is, even if we don't determine the true reason it was built or used, it's still here, still along our path to our destination. And I think it's a pretty cool find. Carved in nature's carpet, multiple design elements. More so, I'm surprised that it's finished with modern sheetrock on the inside. It's not even the plaster and lath like you see in older home construction where they make walls. I'm not sure when sheetrock was implemented. I'll probably look it up and put a date on the screen, but regardless, that is what was used here for this building. All right, that means we're relatively close to the reservoir, which is now decommissioned. Should not be much further in that direction. I do hear a lot more rushing water just over there. But I want to show you that just over here is that same pipe. It is continuing down where we saw it earlier and continuing up towards the reservoir. This area is a little bit cleared out here. And as we get closer, it just gets louder and louder. The main flow of water, though, is over here. Got an uprooted tree right here, too. Oh, lost my footing. All right. Oh, might be a pool of water up there. Enough suspense. You're like probably saying, come on, Jay, let's get there already. I'm going. I'm just kind of soaking it all in. Gonna get back to the bike, and we're either gonna see that pool of water or the reservoir, either of which we're really close, and that should be the next thing that you see. So the wait is over. I'm gonna take you there with a little bit of editing magic. See you up there. All right, we made some progress. You can see the pipe is still here. It's going in that direction. But what's behind you guys at this moment made this wait worth it. Because what's here is pretty phenomenal. And this is just the beginning. We're gonna explore this area as much as we can. But so far, I am really, ooh, I see a snake. Give me 1 second.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
I had to switch camera mounts, so I'm going to briefly show you what's here, but then I'm going to extend you guys on my 7-foot stick to hopefully give you a really close-up shot of the snake, which is basking in the sun. So you ready for what's here? Is anticipating getting to you? All right, well, here it is. Look at what we have here. You probably can't see it too well. I'm gonna get in the shade and show you better. But what I see with my eyes is breathtaking. There we go. Look at that. This reminds me of that little swimming hole I found a couple years ago where I floated on it with my rubber ducky. It was a squared off pool like this, which was also nearby an old coal mining town. And it was a clear, cold, greenish hue water. And myself and the friends have been there before. This reminds me of that. This looks like a really beautiful pool of water here, which I can't tell how deep it goes, but we are going to get some underwater footage. Rest assured, I'm going to do that for you. But that waterfall is coming down, and I believe the reservoir is up there. There's also some structures here, or foundations, but we're going to look for the ruins as well. But this is just kind of the opener, the welcomer. But before the snake disappears, I'm going to try and get you a close-up shot of that. So let's see how that works out. This will probably be as close to a snake encounter as I could get without being close to it myself. And that reason right there is why I won't be going swimming in here. There's snakes in here. I don't know what kind of snake it is, but I don't like any snakes. So I'll say it. Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? But thankfully I got a great shot of him without having to get close and not be fearful. But as we saw, there are some pipes. There's a little one protruding here, a bigger one there. I'm not sure if that's for outflow or in. I'm guessing probably out. I'm gonna just briefly take you over here while we're rolling, try to get a closer shot of this fall. The water, from what I can see, is pretty clear. I can see right to the bottom. It's darker over there, obviously, with the shade. Looks like maybe at most 4 to 6 feet deep in the center. I think I would still go swimming here if I was here with people. Have someone kind of keeping an eye out for the snakes. Looks like a wall or an old spillway. And there it is. can't really get out there is a drop off right here. I'd have to get up and over, but I think we got a good shot here. I knew I saw a pool of water down there. Man, that is so awesome. I'm kind of not even knowing what to do next, because it's like I want to get underwater footage. I want to look for the town. Oh yeah, here we are. This is the old reservoir. Ho-ho! A miniature step falls. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 to 4 steps. That flows down to the waterfall, to the pool. The pool is like a collection area. This is all made out of these large stone blocks that we see right here. And on the other side. Now, this was reportedly decommissioned last year. Oh, there's a structure too. So this is no longer being utilized as its intended purposes when it was built. It's now more or less a natural sanctuary. That building has seen better days. The roof is completely opened up. This is a pristine area. All right, I'm jumping ahead. I'm getting too excited. I'm kind of like having squirrel moments right now. Like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So one thing at a time. Let's get back down to the pool. I did bring a waterproof case with me so I could get you guys submerged and not have to worry about any audio issues afterwards. I'm also going to put the bike somewhere so that we could leave it and explore, because there's a lot to see. And I haven't even told you about the town. So let's get the underwater footage first. Then we'll just chat for a bit. There's not a whole lot of things to share because there's not a whole lot of information out there. It's kind of hard to find the information I found. And I'm being very vigilant of snakes. Yeah, I'm gonna put you guys in here and we're gonna go in there. Hey, here's some people coming. and there's some people going. Brought the bike up here. There's some other people that are here as well. Like I said, popular area. Two things I want to add on this really quick. Number one, the seat is good. It's nice and wide, relatively plush. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 rating. The seat is pretty decent. The only other negative or con is I wish I had rear suspension. Going over this rocky, bumpy terrain, the front was absorbing it, back was a bit stiff. Rightfully so. No suspension on the seat or rear axle. So rear suspension would be another thing I'd like to see on top of what I mentioned before. With that out of the way, let's talk about this area. So, as mentioned, this was an old coal mining town, built specifically for the coal miners and their families. It is known as the town of Edgerton. And this, as you can imagine, was called the Edgerton Reservoir. The town developed in 1881 when they found substantial amounts of coal under the land here. They created a water source, they created homes, churches, schools, the breaker obviously, wagon sheds. It was a fully functioning town that started in 1881. But it's relatively short-lived because by 1905 the town was basically being deconstructed because they ran out of their supply of coal. They extracted all the coal in this immediate area and no longer was producing what they developed the town for. So by 1905, the town ceased to exist. Only thing that's left behind now is the reservoir, which was officially deconstructed in 2022. And reportedly there are ruins and remains of the old town. I think there's some foundations and stuff like that. It is going to be relatively hard to find at this time of year. And it's also hard getting information on this town. I did find one particular website of someone who is very knowledgeable on this place. He's actually had or led tours here in the past. And I'm going to link that website down below because there is one photo on there that does show what the town used to look like, including the breaker itself. So to see the picture, to get more information, check the link down below and you'll be able to get a better idea as to what used to exist here. Today, primarily it is the reservoir. I am going to maybe talk to those guys if they're from the area and see if they know where there's any ruins. If I don't, I'm still going to walk around the area. I'm not going to go too far. I do have the bike here, but I do want to at least give this a fair shot to see if we can find anything from that time period, from 1881 to 1905. As you can see, the water is pristine conditions, nice and clear. Now, I'm not sure what work was done to decommission it, but I'm guessing the water levels are maybe lower than they normally would be. But still looks natural, but you could tell it was man-made. We're gonna head over to the structure here, which does look like the official pump/valve house, and most likely where that pipe is leading into. And we're gonna see if we could maybe get inside and see what else we could discover. Before we do that though, I just want to give you a moment of solitude as I keep quiet and just show you what I see and hear what I hear. I've known about this place for about 2 years now, and I can't believe it took me till now to get up here, September of 2023. But I'm glad I did, but I'm pretty certain this won't be my only time here. A couple things to note as we're making our way. Look right here. This block was drilled probably somewhere on site to construct this wall. So those are drill marks right there. So they were probably drilled and blasted back in the day. This did have a wooden shingled roof, Looks like a chimney, which I'm surprised to see. Windows, where that window is blocked up. And this is primarily constructed out of stone, wood for the roof, some metal here and there like a vent. And I do hear noise inside. I hear like, almost like when you put your ear to like a seashell, like that shh. I hear something inside with water. I believe it's open. Oh, wow. Holy crap, this is cool. It's an overhead gantry crane system with like trolley wheels. Get out. And this goes down to a pit. Okay, let me show you around first, and I'm going to explain what I'm seeing because I have a general sense as to what we're looking at. I'm sure most of you do too, or even have better knowledge as to how this operated. So here's the old windows, mortared up with stone and cement. There was 3 windows. Now it does appear to be a chimney, which it may have been. There is pipes right there. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just look around, Jay. I'm so excited. Yep, there is the sound I heard. This is one of the coolest findings ever at a reservoir. We're looking at a pretty cool piece of history. All right, now let's kind of dive into what we're looking at here. So I gotta watch where I step to. It's a far drop. So right here where the chimney is, there's 2 ceramic pipes. I'm guessing there may have been some type of stove here or heating unit of sorts, probably coal, I'm guessing, since they mine coal here. I'm thinking that was here to keep this room heated so that things didn't freeze in here in the wintertime, because there's valves and pipes and water. How you doing? And I think that that is the primary source, that there's a chimney in these pipes here because they didn't want this to freeze. The overhead crane system here, or if you want to call it gantry crane, this rolled on those wheels there the length of the building and had another arm, or I should say a hook that would have rolled on those wheels going that way. So it rolled the length of the building and the width of the building with 2 different wheel systems. And they came over here, most likely there was hatches on top of here, and they would have had a hook, maybe a coupler or something, to remove the hatches to gain access. I'm fairly confident of that. Now I'm walking on a center beam here, which goes all the way down. It's not hollow beneath me, but it is exposed on both sides. There's the remains of a ladder which is rusted all the way through. I'm getting a little uneasy here, so I'm just trying to stay focused. There's multiple, it looks like valves, and that one's like labeled number 3, and that one connects all the way down, and most likely there is a hatch down there or a valve, so they turn this to open or close whatever is beneath the surface down there. And I'm guessing the water line used to be where that white line is there. It looks like a water line. So the water was higher back in the day. Oh, you know what? Maybe there wasn't hatches here. There's guides here, like sleeves, where doors would have been. And they would have had these kind of sectioned off or chambered off. That crane may have lifted these doors up right in these channels here, now that I'm looking at it. So just learning as I go, kind of observing what's here, I'm pretty certain there were doors or blockers here, and they would have controlled the height of them with the overhead crane system. You can see how rusted it is, but multiple valves, they're all numbered. Well, they actually all say number 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 valves here, and then we got these 2 innards. So those of you watching, if you have more knowledge on what I do based on what you're seeing here, feel free to educate myself and the viewers down below in the comment section. But I am loving this Oh, perfect. It's here. So here is exactly what I was explaining. Here's one of those blockers, and it's actually a screen. So it's wooden framed. There's hooks on it which would hook up to the gantry crane, and they would be able to lift that up. Probably this is a screen, a filter, to filter the water coming through here, because water is still flowing through as we speak. That's where the noise is coming from. I know it's hard to see, but I can see with my bare eyes. Is it naked eyes? I think with my naked eyes. Yeah, that's what these are. These are screens or filters. I probably have to lift them up to clear them up. Doesn't smell the most pleasant in here either, but that's what was here. There were screens and filters in these chambers here, these pits, which would have hooked on right there to that coupler that goes across the width of the building. I'm going to be snapping a lot of photos here. I'm going to try to get some additional B-roll footage, and then we're going to explore more, but this is such a cool finding. Even if we don't find anything else today, this is so amazing. I've never seen anything like this before in person, and the fact that we can actually get in here and explore it is even more incredible. So I can only hope we can find more, and if it tops this, we're going to be in for quite a video adventure. I just quickly had a chance to talk to that gentleman on the ATV, and he's been here a few times, and thankfully I asked because I was partially incorrect on a couple things. Mainly one thing, the location. So we are here at the reservoir, no doubt about that. The town, though, was not located next to the reservoir. It was below, basically kind of where we were on our approach up here, closer to where we crossed the creek and the what I call the cul-de-sac area. He said that the town, from what he understands, was down in that general area, that the foundation of the school is still there and some other things. Now, unless on my way back I'm going to be going through that area, unless I can find it with my own two eyes, I may have either passed right by it, or it's somewhere that you can't be seen, obviously, because of the foliage. If that's the case, I'll have to wait for the winter to come back, or to get some more information from someone who is knowledgeable on these ruins and remains. I'm not going to give up, though. I'm not going to be defeated yet. But since we're up here, we're going to take this in more. I may try to get you some more underwater footage. This is a really tranquil, peaceful, pristine area. Very few pieces of garbage. You can tell people come fishing here. Locals come up here just to kind of check it out. But this is such a gem of a place. And obviously people know about it. It's not unknown. It's not secret, hidden, remote. But it's a place I just wish I got to a lot sooner than what I did. Anyways, let's keep exploring this area. Then we're going to backtrack and we'll check out that area where I crossed the creek more thoroughly, and the area where I... Actually, now I'm thinking about it now. Remember we saw those mounds of material? I'm like, oh yeah, it looks like there was some work done here. There was some comb piles and stuff like that. That makes more sense. If that's in the vicinity of the breaker, that would be in the vicinity of the town. Did I say that right? Vicinity? So we may have been in the right area, not even known it. So now we at least know where to look. So we're going to continue our search, continue the adventure, check out what else is up here. But now I'm curious as to what could be down there. So stay tuned to see what I may or may not find. But in the meantime, can't complain about this. Man, this is so beautiful. You wouldn't be able to tell that we're here in the middle of September. Things still look green and vibrant. Fall's just around the corner. And days like today, it started off in the, I think, upper 40s. It's now in the 60s. Still really lush and green and just healthy looking up here. But what's inside of here blew my mind. 1924. Dated right there. So this was built, this particular structure was built after the town no longer existed. 1905, the town was gone. This was built afterwards. So, makes me wonder, was the reservoir here while the town was here? And this was just added afterwards? Or was the reservoir constructed after the town was gone? I would be led to believe that the reservoir has been here, but this building was either updated or added in later years. Another thing I could point out to you too, which is kind of showing the building earlier. See these pins and how this door is sitting on it? That building that we found, which I think was for electrical use, would have a door just like this, sitting on those pins, and it would swing closed like this, has the wooden framing on the inside. Came back in here for one more glimpse and to take some photos, and I'm noticing a couple more things I missed earlier. So the construction on the outside is the stone block walls. On the inside is almost like this terracotta brick. I'm not sure if that's for insulation or not, that holds in heat, and it's surrounded or covered by a concrete plaster. But it's this brick material, it's like terracotta like you see with the chimney on the inside. Another thing I'm noticing too is that in order to move this gantry crane, there's a, I guess you would want to call it a pulley, or what's left of it, most likely had a rope or a chain on it, and they would pull it, which would spin that, which in return would spin the axle and move that. So I'm believing that's how they move this back and forth. Back over here at the spillway. I'm gonna get down near the water's edge, place you guys back in here, and we'll get another glimpse into the watery world of Edgerton Reservoir. So here's my plan of attack. I think I saw everything that there is to see here at the reservoir. The building was amazing. Easiest way to describe it. What was inside, I was not expecting. That itself made it worthwhile. But now, I have the task of retracing my steps and going to two particular spots. One, actually maybe three. One is where we crossed the creek. I'm gonna check both sides of that area. Second spot is gonna be where we found those old cone piles near where those pipes are crossing the creek. And third is gonna be in the cul-de-sac area. The gentleman I spoke to said those three areas is where he believes there might be some old ruins. I'm optimistic that I'll find them, but the odds are against me based on the conditions right now. It may be requiring a winter return and to get some more help or research. But fingers crossed once again that we at least find something symbolizing a building or structure, something from the old town that existed from 1881 to 1905. The only thing we didn't check out right now are these two little platforms. These are down here near the pool with the falls and the snake that we saw before. I don't know what these were for. I'm guessing there's maybe a structure on top of it at one time. Maybe a shack of sorts. Maybe for a watchman. Maybe it could have housed equipment. But there's two of them right next to each other. They're roughly... This one actually has a hole in it. Oh, okay, let's get up there. No, there is holes in them. That leads right up to the reservoir. This is below the valve house, I believe. Oh yeah, this is cool. This is connected underground to our structure up there, which you can actually see the peak of the roof. So the system that we saw going down where the water is still flowing connects here and continues outwards through that pipe. And that pipe is what we saw going downstream, and we've seen it a few times. You can see the big pipe down there. That's the one that's going through the ground, connecting to the gantry crane house up above, and then exits through the building and comes out below. And there's some valves down there. And there's the other side right there. Those wheels look really neat. I'm guessing they probably turned one of them again to control flow. This is just a big valve right here, I believe. Now, as to what that building is for, or that foundation or platform, I'm not certain. But at least we're seeing kind of more dots that we could connect to see how everything's working and what its reason for being constructed was for. Now that the sun is lower, here is one final view. Now you can really see it. This is home to our, we'll call him our snake friend. He didn't bother us. I guess we kind of bothered him, but we're not going to disturb him from here on out. I'm going to call him Sunny. Sunny the snake. Since he was sunning himself on that rock right there. So Sunny the snake, nice seeing you from a distance. Sorry if I had to make you move, but you gave me a good, oh, actually I see him. Hang on. Sunny's there. Sunny is right there, wrapped in the foliage. I'm going to snap a photo with my phone. He's right on top. I'm not going to disturb or make him move, but he's still here. Kind of in the shade, but I'm sure he's comfortable. And that actually marks I think the third snake I've seen this year so far. So I saw the first one when I did a Google Maps find. I was near a little bubbling creek area, and I almost stepped on him. Then I saw a second one, where I was with Matt and the guys by the Shocks Mills Bridge down in Marietta. He was sunning down by the Susquehanna River. And that's snake number 3. That one, I'll say is my favorite. Sunny the snake. One other thing I want to mention regarding this pipe, which kind of brings things into perspective. So those of you who are familiar with my channel, have watched plenty of my adventures, you know you've seen pipes and reservoirs and stuff. I even have a reservoir playlist. Well, there's one particular pipeline that many of you have been curious about, including myself. And if you remember the secret hidden oasis that I found during my first Google Maps find, I think it was last year. Well, we found so many fascinating things, one of which was the pipeline. In a later video, we found where the pipe starts from an old forgotten reservoir that I didn't even know existed until it was told to me by some people, and I found it, and I took RJ and Dan there. So we saw where the pipe went to. where the pipe started at, where it originated from. But many of you who watch those videos were curious, saying, where's that pipe go? You should follow it. Well, I'm going to do that. This fall/winter, I'm going to return to that same area. We're going to start at the oasis and follow the pipe down to wherever it terminates, whether above ground or beneath. I do know it goes for a few hundred yards. As to where it ends at, I don't know, but we're going to try to find that out. So if you guys do remember that video and we're curious about that pipe, that will be coming out closer to the winter when the foliage is gone and have a better chance to see things. But now we're going to get back on the Haoqui Eagle, head back to those spots and see if we can find any ruins or remains of the town of Edgerton. We may be in luck, I'm not certain. So came down, I took a side trail off the main trail. The creek crossing is over there. I can hear it from here, so we're in the vicinity of it. And I actually came from this direction. It kind of loops around. And I was looking, so number one, the pipe's still here. But I did see some bricks. And bricks are not natural, as we all know. They were used for construction. So there's bricks here with some stampings on them. CO, probably for company. Which means, or leads me to believe, that something was constructed here. More than just that, there is a type of wall which I think is not natural. This right here is a mound, and the stones are laid pretty evenly. That looks like a man-made wall. And it's just a hump here. So there could have been something in here. There are various mounds, which could be a number of different things, but we're definitely in the vicinity. So I'm going to keep searching around, but I just want to show you this is our first evidence of the old town. The bricks is a pretty solid confirmation. I'm about 95% confident this may have been from the old town, one of the buildings. There is supposedly more to see than just that, though. More anthracite coal. It's telling us we're in the right area. So here's the creek crossing. And the gentleman said that some of the ruins are found around here. Could be on that side, could be on this side. Now the bricks I showed you are maybe 100 feet over there. Now, as I explained, this time of year is not ideal for searching for this type of stuff. Especially if it's in there. But I am prepared. I have jeans on. I have my thicker soled sneakers. And I have my curiosity at mind. Just to bring you up to speed, directly over this mound of material is the creek where those pipes are. On the other side of that is where the miniature comb piles are. I haven't explored that yet. This area over here caught my attention because it's really vast and spread out. And I'm seeing some rather large chunks of coal. Holy crap. Look at this. Wow. This is some nice stuff. You get in the sun, you can see how it sparkles. That's why they call it a black diamond. Look at that. That is a really nice chunk of anthracite. And that would burn for a good amount of time. Throw it in your campfire. I'm not sure if these were placed here by someone or not, but we got 4, 5, 6 pieces of what I'm calling high-grade anthracite. Really nice stuff. I'm going to get a little bit deeper back here and maybe we'll see something that's hiding in plain sight. Not having too much luck. The only other thing I came across right now is this tree stump. And the only reason it stands out to me is because this is saw cut. This was cut by man. And with the location of it, there's no reason to be cut recently. And I don't even see the tree itself. So this was, I don't want to say it was cut back in the time of the town, but it stood out to me and wanted to point it out and share it with you. There's actually more of them. As I'm looking, it's like another tree here was, there's a piece of metal. This as well was cut by saw, as was that. Without a doubt, you know, we're sniffing close to it, you know. We're getting clues that something existed here. Oh, here's a little bottle dump. Are these Coors Banquets? I don't know what they are, but they're just right there. My guess is we need to cross over the river, the creek, whatever you want to call it, and check the other side where we found those cone piles earlier. I think that's going to be my next plan of attack, my next area to search. And if that yields no results, the last place is going to be down near the cul-de-sac, which I don't think, and I say think, I don't think it was down that far, but the gentleman I spoke to said possibly down there. It is relatively open and clear, so if we were to find anything, it shouldn't be all that difficult. So, we'll see. Successfully crossed the creek. Now this is all new territory to me. I don't know what's out here. The one thing I can tell you though is off camera I did look up online. Surprisingly I have service here. And there is some information out there, like I said, not a whole lot. But for the foundation of the schoolhouse that the gentleman referenced, for the foundation it's a stone wall. Now I did see that stone wall back there, but the picture I saw looked a bit more significant than that. So I don't want to rule that out, but we're looking for something similar. Now here's another pipe. Just out here. And some brick. Like I said, we're sniffing close. I'm really hopeful we're going to find something. Now there are numerous things that were out here. There was a pay shack or a pay building, like where the miners were paid. There was like a general store, obviously homes. There's also fatalities back here too. At least, I believe 2 people drowned in that river. So there is a lot of history. Now look at this. Finely crushed up coal material. It's like the pea coal, even smaller. Just laying here. I know we have to be really, really close to something. Now here's something that stands out to me, and this is 100% man-made. What looks like a giant boulder, I think is a giant chunk of concrete, which has some anchor bolts coming out of it. This almost reminds me of like a weight or an anchor of a hoist. So there's the anchor bolts, there's 4 of them with a hole there in the middle. And it's just right here along this embankment. And it is like the old concrete. Can we get a shot on the inside there? So what that could have been used for, who knows? But I would guess something that big and heavy duty was related to mining. Some plastic PVC pipe. I bet this area is loaded with old findings of different things. Even this road, I think there was a railroad back here at one time too for the miners, for the mining company. Yeah, this is almost like a switchback trail, which is just going up the mountain. There's trails in all different directions that go all different locations with all different things to probably see along them. I could probably spend days out here and not find everything or not see everything. Look at all the coal though. Just so much of it left behind. They could have kept working. They didn't run out of coal. They just spilled it on the way out of here. That's the way we came from, leading up to this point. And down that direction is where we're going to find those coal materials. I'm going to take a nice slow ride, peer left and right, see what I could observe. And then we'll make a stop in that location and check in more detail off the beaten path. Here's what I like to call a modern wasteland, the byproduct of coal mining. Mounds of material, rock, ash, coal, culm, silt. So I'm gonna, as I mentioned, poke around, prod around. I'm going off the main areas where it's a bit overgrown now, because this is where things can be hiding and you won't know it until you really step upon it. Looking up here too, there's a rather large rock outcropping. Really large boulders up here. And almost everywhere you look, you find random chunks of coal, little tiny piles of crushed up coal. See a tire up here. It says measures 6.700R 4.5 inch rim. Replaces 6.00-15 T1 something. It's too hard to read. Any tire experts out there, if you have approximate date on this or what this would fit, would love to know. I used to work for 2 different tire companies, but the tires were much more modern than these. It's almost like we would see like an old pickup truck or maybe a trailer? I'm not sure. Well, you can recognize where we are now. There's the pipes. And we were over there earlier, so we're covering a decent amount of ground. But we're yielding very little results. This is more or less just a playground now for off-road vehicles. The only other area I have to check in this spot is just over there. But from the signs of it, I think this is just a waste material area. I don't think there's any significant ruins here, which would more or less make sense. You know, you wouldn't have buildings right where they're dumping waste byproduct. Let me ask you, those of you still watching, first off, if you are still watching, because I know this is a lengthy video, I want to say thank you for doing so. I'm actually out here over 4 hours already making this video, and I'm by no means bored or disappointed because we saw some really amazing things. But what are you thinking so far? What are your thoughts? Are you enjoying searching for these ruins and remains? Have you enjoyed what we found so far? I know I have. But we're not done yet. So we'll see. maybe we'll get lucky. We have so far for the most part. We haven't been skunked out. There's a vast area here, and as I mentioned, I don't think this will be my one and only time here. Oh, here's something. Just when I was about to turn away. Pile of material here. And look what we have hanging out. A metal rod. This probably was to anchor these together. There we go. 100% man-made. That was probably like a large nail to anchor these ties together, or these logs, whatever they are, chunks of wood, which looks like they're pushed here. Some coal debris on top of it. More of it right here. You can see the rectangular shape of it. Doesn't tell us what it is or where it came from, but it's just a sign that man was here. And as I like to say, we're walking back in time, getting a glimpse back into what once existed. There's just so much here, you don't know where to look, which direction to go. It's almost overwhelming. And if you stop and look around and listen, aside from the distant traffic, you can almost imagine the town when it once existed. Hearing maybe the steam whistle for the end of shift. Hearing children playing near the creek. Hearing plans for the next day of work. Seeing vehicles or trains operating around here. Hopefully one day we could teleport ourselves for a window into the past, to see these places when they were active and how they were once used. Probably won't happen in my lifetime, but it's nice to imagine. At this point, I'm just taking little random paths and trails to see where they go briefly, and then backtracking if there's nothing worth seeing. There's a clearing here. Oh, that's a big fire pit. So we're close to the cul-de-sac. It's actually down to the right. This trail offshoots through the woods here. And I just want to see if there's anything back here, but this is a really neat section of woods. Wow. So wide open. It's like a pine forest. You can almost drive a car back here if you wanted to. Just like random chairs out here. It's a fire ring here. A couple chairs. A couple pieces of garbage. I mean, I'm not even on the trail right now, and you could literally like just ride anywhere you want back here. It's so open. It's really neat. A couple spider webs I'm going through. And we're back here at the Hibachi area. This is going to be our last area to search for any ruins or remains. I don't think there's anything here other than what we've seen already. Now, the only area I haven't really checked out is straight across. There is a road right there. And for what I could see from here, and I think I remember seeing that on Google Maps, it looks like an old spillway or dam wall. But there's no water over there. I think that possibly is a preventative. If maybe that reservoir was ever to break, or substantial amounts of water came down, maybe that's to stop it from going that direction. I'm honestly not sure. I think this is shallow enough that we could cross this on the bike and venture up there just a little bit. Like I said, you could go for days out here on these trails, and some of them probably connect with other ones, others go in their own different directions. Two completely different locations, but since we're here, since I have an adventure capable e-bike, this should be no problem. All right, keep your toes up. Made it. I thought it might be too deep for it, but it didn't stop once. This is bizarre. This is what resembles an old spillway or a dam wall, like a levee wall. But there's no water here at all. Wonder why they constructed this. Now it makes me wonder if this was from back in the day of the town. Maybe a reservoir or body of water used to be here. But that is what we just rode across. That looks like a levee wall. Maybe water was here at one time. I'm not knowledgeable on that information. Looks like somebody's been doing some shooting down there. Now, you can see there are power lines. Maybe that power line trail that goes in that direction altered the area and forced them to get rid of the reservoir or body of water. Just thinking of any possible explanation as to why this would be here. And again, trails go in all different directions. Trails follow the power lines. I'm stumped on this one. Not that it's a real nail biter of a find here, but just rather bizarre. A levee dam wall with no water. After searching down that way a bit further off camera, it just keeps going and eventually leads to the highway. Different trails offshooting, but nothing standing out as far as ruins or remains of an old town. I think most of it is gonna be up in this area where we did find what we found. The bricks, what looked to be a stone wall. What else did we find? The ties with that spike coming out of it, the old tire, stuff like that. That is about as much as I could find today, given the circumstances of the environment. It's still thick, still overgrown, not suitable for finding stuff hiding in plain sight. But today was by no means a loss or a fail. I'm actually out here pushing 6 hours now. That's how long I've been dedicated to this. And it's just because I'm just really enjoying the thrill of the hunt. You know, searching for the signs of the past. Coming across things like the old cul-de-sac. I shouldn't say old cul-de-sac, but the cul-de-sac in the middle of the woods. The spillway with no water. That structure we came upon earlier, which I believe was for electrical housing. And then the reservoir with the filtration house. By far the coolest thing I've seen today. Also, the Haoqui Eagle, and I'm not saying this to pump up any company. I speak from, my own opinion, my own truth. One of the best bikes I've ever reviewed. This thing is a phenomenal bike, and I could call it a beast. It took me everywhere I needed to go today without losing power, without getting stranded, without any issues at all. Hydraulic brakes worked flawlessly. Knowing it could go up to 28 miles an hour, although I was averaging around 10 miles an hour. Front suspension worked pretty good. Only thing I wish it had rear suspension. This is definitely a bike for adventures. What I did today is what it's intended for. And I feel comfortable taking it almost anywhere. This is probably going to replace my Hufsco step through Huf Alpha. I like it that much. So this might be my new go-to adventure bike. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to check it out, to review it, give you a real world review on an adventure. And my first time working with Haoqui, I am pleasantly surprised. It is a great e-bike. Haoqui Eagle, if you want something that could go on almost any type of terrain, has huge versatility, consider that one. Also, if you do want to get a neck mount for your action camera for GoPro or DJI Osmo Action, there will be a link for this down below in the description. This is what I was wearing when I was riding the bike, giving you those point of views. I will indeed be back in the winter, both on bike again and hopefully with a friend or two, because more eyes the better. I know there's other trails that go, I don't know where they go, but they go somewhere, and I know there's a lot more to be seen out here, and I'm pretty confident I was really close to finding some stuff. Like I said, we were sniffing around, coming close to it. Everything was pointing to, Jay, you're in the right area. You're just not in the right area. So I was like, I was close, but not close enough. So I am confident that we're going to find something in the wintertime when everything is kind of bare and more visible. And plus, we'll be able to see how things look in the off season, like the reservoir. That probably came from the town. That old drum. Maybe the corrugated pipe, I don't know. There's a lot of things that have different time periods as to when things were constructed or used. Don't forget to check the link down below with the website that has the picture to the town of Edgerton, so you can see what it looked like and read up upon it for yourself. And who knows what we'll find next time. Lastly though, before I say farewell, do me one favor. Okay, two favors. If you enjoyed the video thus far, showing your support by giving a thumbs up is the best way to do so. Lets me know that you enjoyed the video, and lets YouTube know that other people should check this video out as well. If you are new to the channel and like this type of content, feel free to browse my channel, check the different playlists, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing. Lastly, those two are, they go together. Lastly, when you leave your comment, if you haven't done so already, even if you did, go back and re-edit it. Comment with a blue heart. letting me know that you watched all the way to the end. That way I know that these lengthier videos, some of you out there do enjoy them. I need to get back to my starting point and enjoy the rest of my day here on this gorgeous September afternoon. 6 hours. It was a lengthy one. Couldn't have done it without the e-bike. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.